Yeah, thanks for the intro. So from the shifting left perspective, I know that there's this kind of really long subtitle, which we will cover, but I think mostly we are going to talk about how Experian went to production with a GenAI model use case targeted towards like the business analysts and as part of our kind of key use cases. So just in terms of the housekeeping, there is this statement that I was forced to put in. I don't actually know what we're supposed to do with this, but so just to open, Experian's journey with Databricks started effectively 2 years ago at Data and AI Summit. And at the time, Ali Ghodsi said he would picture a world where GenAI would enable a shifting left paradigm, which empowers the business stakeholders to kind of own development. Like essentially your new developers are gonna be the people on the left or the business analysts. This kind of like idea and vision is what aligned us to become a Databricks partner at the time for generative AI. And we just thought, 2 years into this, since we did have some success, we wanted to maybe share about some of the things that Experian has done, at least in terms of this journey. And one of the key things that Ollie had also said at the time, which I didn't put in this slide but I remembered later, is that the new programming language is English. It's not Python or Scala or whatever you guys are working on. So we'll get into this a bit later. But in terms of some fundamentals that Experian aligned on, we do have some pillars around our GenAI program, and the first and most important one was flexibility. And what we mean by that is, as GenAI changes constantly, it's maybe every 3 months or so, there's like a complete reinvention of what the core technologies are or the best technologies are. So we wanted to have an approach where we are agnostic essentially to what we could basically adapt very quickly in the line of those types of things. But also, the other kind of 3 pillars really fast are security. Obviously, we're in a regulated industry, so security is paramount. Cost, obviously, you don't want to be super expensive. And response time. Maybe not always talked about, but we want quick responses to queries that our models are giving. So just to go a little more into this, so what exactly does shifting left mean, just to kind of reset the bar here. So in terms of like the obvious GenAI value drivers, the core concept of this is that when you're doing GenAI, you want to be able to free up what you'd consider high-value resources to do more high-value tasks. A lot of the things that people do in their day jobs is something that's more of a repetitive and kind of less value in terms of like their time. So that's kind of like the main thing. And then the other part of this, and maybe this is more focused to the business analyst side, is that you want things that previously required some sort of specialized expertise to be enabled so that someone who maybe doesn't have that expertise can now execute the task. But since I come from like the implementer side, there are some other hidden value drivers when we are doing the shift left. So in terms of like my point of view when we're looking at collaborating on the platform, there is this idea of inbuilt data governance, role-based or application-based access control, and improved data quality overall. So in terms of like where we're going is we want to align all of these things when we're saying that we're doing a shift left initiative so that all of the values can be realized together. And then I guess just to like nail the point home, sorry for like the repetition, but specifically in this, we want business analysts to be able to build internal tools that contribute to cost savings and or external applications that drive new revenue streams. That's going to be like the focus of when we're saying like we want to do what shift left means. So what are those value drivers? So the first thing that is, when we started out our journey with shift left, we had kind of this Excel spreadsheet that was 300 different use cases that people wanted to use GenAI on. And when I like looked at that, I was like, man, some of these use cases don't actually require GenAI. These are just like predictive ML, or like this doesn't even require any ML. But in the course of our journey and some of the things that we've done with GenAI, we actually found that GenAI worked well in the sense that it solved the problem very fast, and it actually did it cheaper than our established methods. So kind of like this outside thought which drives innovation is that you challenge kind of like the assumptions that the people on the platform have. Maybe one of the use cases that we did there was a PI redaction model, where usually people in a regulated industry, you have to move kind of like the sensitive data from the data that you're working with. And we actually built this out in GenAI, and it was better than the existing processes that we did. Again, there's some, and then the reason why we also want to shift left is the business analysts, when they're doing their job, they actually know their job better than the developers, obviously. That's why we have that. So that specialized expertise that you have for your use case is something that can't be transformed to the platform level. That's something that only you know. So what we want to do from the platform side is enable you to deliver those things on the programmatic level, so that you actually can derive repeated value out of it. And I guess the mental model for this is, like a lot of times, who is a business analyst? It might be kind of like the person at the end who's doing all the work, right? But our mental model of that is, hey, if we can build a bunch of models, it's like that person becomes like a manager, and all of the models are basically like their assistants or their workers that they can deploy to be their team. But of course, like, this sounds great, but there are some growing pains with this, right? So a lot of the shift left initiatives that Experian did initially might have just been like a third-party application that someone was like, hey, I'm going to try doing this thing, right? And it might have worked. It might have gotten some initial results that were promising, but you kind of lose some of those hidden value things that I was talking about, in the sense that you may not have full governance of what's going on, and it doesn't tie back to the overall system. So what I'm getting at is, in order to shift left well and effectively, you actually have to have a really strong data foundation. And in terms of what that means, there is this kind of organizational readiness model for when we are taking data initiatives, like what exactly are the things that we mean. So in this model, it comes out to vision. So is there a clear objective to what you're driving towards? And then there's process, which is, are there existing processes that help you achieve that objective? The platform, which is, do you have the right technology to do that? And the people, which is, do our people have the right skills? And actually, maybe not just do they have the right skills, but are they interested enough to do it, right? So in terms of Experian, for like when we decided to undergo GenAI then, this is like how this mapped to us. And this is probably a nice exercise for you guys when you look at your organizations to see where you are as well. So on the vision, one thing that was actually pretty cool and helped us a lot in our success is that our CEO at the time, she said after ChatGPT came out that she thought this was groundbreaking and that would redefine how we do business. And she aligned the entire org to basically say, we are going to invest our time and energy and innovation in GenAI. It was one of the top 3 initiatives for the year after it came out. And that really helped to align just the entire company around it. Particularly, I think, some of these, the business analysts that we have, because like sometimes you get, like the technologists might be really like gung-ho about it, but then like the business people might say, oh, like we don't want to do this. Like we think this is going to invade like our domain, right? So we didn't have that problem. So that was like very unique actually. And we also got good funding as a result of that. So the other parts, the process and the platform. So on the processes, Experian had just finished doing their kind of predictive ML or just maybe regular AI, and then maybe not generative AI, like product as a result of that. And because we were in a regulated industry, we'd already established a strong foundation around our data for strong data governance. And as we look towards other financial peers, as well as maybe some of the healthcare people that we talk to, this is a common theme for both financial and healthcare. So you probably will see that a lot of those types of companies with the data governance were very well equipped to adopt GenAI quickly. On the platform side, as I said previously, when we were looking at platforms for GenAI, we just finished our AI kind of migration. And it was successful, but we also had some pain points around it. So when we decided to do GenAI, we looked at what are all of the players out there on a platform perspective, and we decided that we wanted to have the partner that aligned most closely to our core tenets and pillars that I had opened up with, namely around flexibility. So that's when we decided that, hey, we're going to go work with Databricks. And finally, the people. So I think this is where it comes down to, which is, I was saying everything is good, and then the people, that's maybe like the hard part, right? So we'll go into this a bit now. So in order to shift left effectively, what does it mean for the skills that the people have to have, right? So you have to have a very strong data foundation in order to delegate those tasks and shift left effectively. So what are kind of like the three main things about that? The first is data quality. So like I said, for us, one of the pillars was on flexibility, which is to say, the focus should not be on which model you're using to solve your problem or how sophisticated that model is. It's more just around like the enrichment of your data to be AI ready. If you have data that is capable of solving your problem, then that will enable a shifting left initiative. And not only do you have to have that data, you have to have the permission to use that data. I think before I had said, do we have the role-based access control or the application-based access control? That's also core to kind of like the data quality. And then from a governance perspective, you need like the lineage of the data. So these are probably things that you don't necessarily think of as an analyst sometimes, but these are kind of core things that you have to have in order to shift left effectively. The second main thing is you have to have evaluation, and I think there are some talks about that, so I recommend you guys maybe go to some of those if you're able to. But evaluation actually means, as I learned like an hour ago, lots of different things to different people. But for our use case, or I guess in this case, what it means is when you're writing software normally, you have test-driven development, which is to say, if I write a piece of code, then I want to test it and make sure that it performed as I expected. In this case, for shifting left, we also are saying that we have to use evaluation in the GenAI world as a substitute for those kind of deterministic unit-based tests. So you have to write your test cases, or maybe you have to have them generated for you, so that when you are creating your GenAI application, it is something that's specific to that use case, and it tells you whether you succeeded or failed. And it's better also if you, as the person who's in charge of this use case, aren't the one making the tests because you want like a third party to independently verify it, right? Like you want to make sure that you're not biased in your testing. So, and then the final part of this is when we started out and we first did our first evaluation, we basically said, okay, like here's model A, here's model B, here's the question, and we had 10 people, and it's like, okay, 9 people said they liked model A better, and 1 person said they liked model B better. But the problem is, hey, the person who liked model B was actually the CTO. So in that case, it's like, what do you do? Because it's like, you actually entered a case where you can't win, because if you go model A, now you're going against your boss. But hey, but 9 other people thought the other one was better. So if you can remove that qualitative aspect of that and focus on the numeric evaluation, then that will enable that. And then the final part is just the tools. So I think this is kind of more just like you want to do agentic at some point, you want to have tool calls. So these are just more specific things that you could do. But maybe like the part that you guys might have figured out, or maybe you didn't, is Databricks actually offers solutions to a lot of these. So in terms of data quality, the Lakehouse architecture and the Unity catalog really help make sure that data quality is delivered. And on the evaluation side, there's a product called Agent Evaluation. And one of the cool parts of Agent Evaluation is that it actually synthetically generates the test cases for you. So that kind of generation fits into some of these metrics that we're talking about, which is, hey, someone else generated that. And it does help you get to a numeric decision on whether or not your use case is working. And on the AI tools side, we will talk about this in a bit, but I'll go a little further here first. So just to kind of make sure that we put in the capabilities. So what we're looking for within each of these tool sets is these techniques that kind of map in. I guess I'll let you guys take a picture of that. I'm not going to talk. But these are just like methods that from maybe the platform side that you'll need. One thing I do want to talk about here, though, is on the AI tool side, one of the newest things, and you're probably all thinking about this or heard about it, or you will be hearing about it, is MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol introduced by Anthropic. So this is kind of like the newest hot thing in the industry. And probably both your platform teams and your analysts will be talking about this in the near future, if they're not already. So this is probably going to be the way that we're going to be collaborating a lot in the future. It's just a standardized method in which GenAI models can kind of talk to each other in the back end. And kind of going more into the tools and Experian's journey, we'll kind of introduce what we did successfully in production. So Experian, one of the biggest products that we have is called the Ascend platform. This is a business-to-business application platform wherein when you come to Experian, a lot of the times people are saying, we want to purchase Experian data because it's high quality and it has like the insights that we need to make a decision about a partner. So what exactly is Ascend? Essentially, it's a sandbox where you can kind of bring your own data to Experian, and you can intermesh that data with ours and build a predictive model, and it will tell you the decision that you should make on the customer. Essentially, should we give them a loan or not give them a loan? Or if we give them a loan, what would be the rate, maybe? But the kind of like hard part about this platform is that we don't actually make the models for you. Because from a regulatory perspective, we can't make that decision for you. Like, you have to actually create the model on your own. So while if you're like one of the biggest customers or biggest banks in the US, like this might be something easy and you might have the workforce to do that. But if you are a credit union or just a smaller bank, maybe you don't have that specialized skill set that we're talking about. So for our B2B product, we did announce Experian Assistant recently. It's in production and it's going well. And I think the main thing with Experian Assistant is that it does kind of reflect what we were talking about in the beginning, which is the new language to program with is actually English. If you saw kind of the interactions, it was done all in English. And that's essentially how we see the future of when we want to shift left and align things. So just to kind of point out a few of the things, like you can engage directly in English with the modeling, and it helps you build your predictive model with both our data and your own data. And not only that, it would suggest maybe what are the most predictive features of the data, either yours or ours, which basically help you reach that decisioning. And then, in this use case, perhaps the most important thing is that the generative AI is used to generate the governance documentation that you need for explainability, which is actually required for people who are using models to get to production. So what does Experian Assistant kind of consist of? There's a data tutor, which is what we said, it'll kind of identify what the most predictive features are. There's an analytics expert, which helps you kind of derive insights. There's a code advisor, which helps you build out the predictive models. And finally, when you're actually deploying the model, it wasn't demonstrated, but it helps you get to production in terms of deploying the model and running it to get your insights. So if we did do this though, and I was talking about data foundations the whole time, you might be asking, what are we here for? Like, why am I here? So I think this actually ends up being one of those things where it is successful, but maybe it could have been a little better if we did some of the correct data foundations. So obviously we're focused a lot on generative AI, but there's also this new thing called generative BI. And while we did build Experian Assistant and we are Databricks partners, Experian Assistant actually is not on Databricks. But what if it was? Databricks has this thing called AI BI Genie, and it does a lot of the same things that we just talked about. Can be a conversational, like English-based interaction with your data and insights that can give you even more power. And kind of the whole graphical interface here might be a little more exciting than maybe what we went into production with. But very specifically, I think some of the things that are really helpful in a generative BI case is actually the conversation history that you get. So if you come in and you do build out your models and your platforms, and you do kind of get what insights you had, the next session today doesn't actually remember what the insights that you had were. So you basically can remember your conversational history here, and you can reuse those when you're building your next models, because it does have some of the better features that you have. But maybe more importantly, you do have the whole governance and data foundation layer. So as you said, there's Unity Catalog, which leverages kind of all of the different governance foundations that then align with actually the rest of the platform that we were using to build the rest of our GenAI products. So that's kind of like if you have the right foundations, then you are able to actually build something stronger and more repeatable for your business. So tying it back together, I talked about MCP earlier. So this is actually a real-world example that I talked to recently with some of my partners here. So as I said, this is kind of like the new hotness that everyone's talking about. And I just wanted to illustrate in maybe like a crawl, walk, run type of thing, the types of questions that when you're kind of collaborating together in the right way, this is the types of questions you would ask. So in a crawl phase, this is probably more of the types of questions that you might ask when you're not collaborating with your partners. And I did have someone ask me this. So if you're the business user, you might ask, oh, what is MCP, right? And like I said, hey, this is actually one of the most exciting things from the technology side that us as technologists are interested in. But so on the engineering side, some of the questions that we got were, hey, how do we actually implement MCP? How do we tie it to our existing APIs, right? So this is maybe each side is thinking in their own world and not collaborating together. On the walk side, however, so this is actually, I think if you walk in the expo, a lot of people will probably bring this up to you, which is people now have been saying, hey, why don't we build an agent that directly queries the database and makes it available on MCP? I mean, that's pretty powerful, but there are maybe some security concerns about that. But this is maybe what I'd consider like a walk example, in the sense that this is just trying to capture immediate value without maybe thinking long term. But on the business side, again, okay, now that I know what MCP is, then the question is, oh, like why do I need MCP for my use cases for GenAI? It's kind of this, well, I already delivered my GenAI platform, like I have Experian Assistant, but why do I need MCP in order to make that better? So that's kind of maybe like the walk thinking when your business users start aligning. But I think what we really want is kind of the run. And this is what I mean by like, if your engineers and your business users are collaborating well together, this is what will derive the most value for your platform or your business as a whole. So in this case, your engineer, what they should ask is, how do we enable the integration of MCP for all users across all use cases? This is kind of the meat of it, which is, if we're collaborating and we're on the same platform, then we're actually able to deliver this capability very easily. And on the business side, what you want is, hey, like if I do implement MCP, how do I actually use that to deliver new revenue opportunities? Obviously, we were successful with the assistant, but if we're able to actually say, how do we tie this to bringing out even more capability, then you get into maybe just selling MCP agents, which I think is what people are talking about as well. I will leave you off with one final quote, which is, this is given by one of my friends, Andre Vargas from Creative Artists. So you might have heard about FOMO, which is, as we all know, is the fear of missing out. But with him, he said, in GenAI, we have this thing called JOMO. So joy in this case is, or J in this case is the joy of missing out. And the reason I say this is this is near the end of today, and tomorrow we'll be having a keynote, and you might be saying, hey, what am I talking about here on stage right now? But there might be something that you hear tomorrow that kind of helps align what I was talking about shifting left on the same platform with your business users and your engineers. So that's all. Thank you.